Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here today for our Cisco Validated Virtual Event Series. Today, we'll be covering Catalyst Center integrations and operations. My name is Carlo Bobilas, Community Manager over on the Cisco Learning Network. If you are tuning in but not have officially registered for the program, I highly encourage you to do so by scanning the QR code on your screen. It will be a good way to be notified of upcoming live streams and be informed when they are available on demand. Now, I just want to cover the Q&A portion of the event. We'll be using Slido for these activities, as well as for questions you have during the live event. One important note regarding Slido is that participation for Q&A is exclusively for the live audience. So if you are catching this session on demand at a later time, the Slido QR code might not be active, so just something to keep in mind. You can log into Slido by scanning the QR code on the screen with your mobile device or by logging in directly through our live stream page. Last but not least, we'll be launching a survey at the end of this virtual event using Slido, and we would appreciate it if you could take a moment to fill out and share with us any of your thoughts and feedback. So without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Solutions Engineer Travis Jones to give a few words. Travis?
Thanks, Carlo, and thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll do a quick introduction. My name's Travis Jones. I'm a solution engineer in the sales organization, and I cover our state, local, and education space across the U.S. theater. Matt, you want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Matt Okuma. Like Travis, I'm a solutions engineer, but I'm in our U.S. commercial organization supporting our commercial customers.
Good deal. So let's continue on and let's kind of have a review of where we're at and what we have done so far. So this is the fifth in a series regarding this cross architecture lab that Matt and I had created. This is the topology here, and so far what we have done up until now is we have configured an SD-WAN fabric, and we have integrated it into a Catalyst BGP EVPN based fabric. So up until now, we have what we'll call the plumbing working, all the IP routing between the Catalyst border spine and the SD-WAN router, and we have connectivity into the devices over on the right. That would be Cat Center and ICE, and that's where we're going to spend a lot of time today, is in Catalyst Center and ICE. What we're going to do today is we're going to start by doing a network discovery, and we're going to discover our three Catalyst devices on the left. Once that discovery occurs, they will be inserted into ICE as network access devices, and then we are going to provision the devices that's going to push down some additional configurations such as NTP, DNS, DHCP information as well down to the switch. Matt's going to be driving today, so we're going to work together as we go through this, but this is kind of where we're at, and we may refer to this diagram as we're bouncing around inside of Cat Center and ICE. So Matt, you want to go ahead and start driving, please?
Yep, let's take it over. So I'm logged into our Catalyst Center here, and we're going to start by just kind of showing you around kind of the lay of the land. So I'm going to go to design here. Actually, first I'm going to go to tools, and we're just going to look at our topology real quick. So we'll take a look at our topology, and the purpose of this is just to give you an idea of our structure of our cross-architecture lab and the sites that we have. So you can see here we have our main California site in San Jose. It's our data center, pseudo data center, and then we have our North Carolina site, which is in Durham, and it's site 105, right? So you'll see these, the topology, we'll bring it back up and show you, but we're gonna be working within those sites. And by assigning the different devices after discovered to these sites, they inherit the different configuration parameters that we're looking for. So it's a way to automate some of the configurations. So we're gonna start though in discovery. These devices have been discovered already for the sake of time and saving time. You can see I have this site 105 discovery here. What I'm just gonna do is we're gonna pop in here and just check out what it looks like to create a discovery job. So you'll give it a name. In our case, we called it site 105. And then in here, we basically pre-provision the IP addresses of the range of our loopback interfaces of those three switches that we want to discover, our two leafs and our spine. So right now I'm putting some pseudo IPs in here just to show you what it'd look like. We would use our loopback interface. We click next here. And then we have, via that site hierarchy and some of the networking stuff we pre-provisioned for automation, you can see that I have these pre-provisioned existing global counts, right? So DNAC admin. So we're going to basically use CLI credentials, SNMP, and HTTP credentials to do our discovery. So it's as easy as just selecting those credentials, select the HTTPS credentials, and if you wanted to and had netconf in your environment, you would select netconf and specify a port. The next thing you would do is you would just continue through creating this. And this is where you tie the devices to the site. So in our case, our devices are in North Carolina, like we showed you in the topology view. Durham, we have our site 105. We have our main floor, right? That's where our 3 devices live. And there's different configuration parameters that you can specify at different places in your design hierarchy here. So in this case, by putting these devices here and assigning them to these sites, they're going to get all the necessary stuff that we want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit this. And because they already discovered, what you'll see here is that we have 3 devices reachable. We have our WLC also, so we can discover that into our inventory, which we've already pre-done. Travis, anything to add from here?
No, I would say that once you do this discovery, it takes maybe a minute or so to discover these devices, these 3 NRs. Once you discover them, though, I believe they get inserted into ICE. Is that correct, Matt, as network access devices?
Actually, good point. So let's just jump over here. We're in our ICE server. We're going to go to administration and network devices within our ICE server. And what you'll see here is Travis is exactly right. All 3 devices plus the WLC has been discovered as network devices within ICE. So that all is automated through the integration between Catalyst Center and ICE, and that's all done for you. It makes it super, super easy. They're all right here. So Travis, next step, after we get done discovering them, then you want to provision them.
We're going to provision them. So that's going to push some additional information down to the switch, and we'll be able to see what that does when Matt runs through the workflow.
Yeah, as you can see here, they're already here in inventory. They have already been provisioned, but we can show you kind of what it looks like. So if we go to actions here and we go to provision and we go provision device, the first step, because we did the discovery and already assigned them to the site, they're already assigned to the site. So you can see that North Carolina, Durham, site 105 main, all our 3, our spine and our 2 leafs are all here assigned to the site. The next step is if we had any templates or provisioning parameters in templates, this is where they would be assigned to the different devices that we're provisioning. In our case, we don't have any provisioning templates. All the config is all done. You saw those in the previous sessions. If not, go back and check them out, where we brought up the BGP, VPN fabric. All that stuff was already done, so no need to have any templates here, but very easy way to tie configuration templates to the provisioning of the device. They would be listed there. The next step, you can review the various different configurations that will be pushed to each of these devices. You can see if I click on leaf 2, I would see leaf 2. Parameters as well as the spine. So that's just getting all the great stuff. You can see here all the configurations that are going to be pushed. So then we just hit deploy and it would automate those configurations and provisioning for you. So Travis, now at this point, where are we at with this whole thing?
Well, let's go back and look at the diagram here, so we have kind of a reference point of view here. So as you saw, Matt did the discovery and provisioning of the 3 switches on the left with the CAT center. What we want to do now, since our fabric is already provisioned, we did that in a previous session, and we did all the integration to SD-WAN. One of the interesting to look at is the segmentation aspect. So when we built this fabric in a previous session, we had some VRFs configured, and we had the ability to carry an SGT in the fabric. However, the switches were not provisioned into ICE yet, or in Catalyst Center and inventory, so we couldn't really do the 8021X pieces of the puzzle here. So now that Matt has discovered them, those devices were inserted as network access devices in ICE, as Matt showed you. What we can do now is test some of the macro and micro segmentation and really show the secure networking aspect of this lab. So What we're going to do is run through a couple of scenarios here of one, onboarding the workstation, so essentially plugging in the NIC to the fabric and letting it authenticate. And our two workstations, Matt, there's another diagram. Let's bring up our scenario here, what we're going to do. We're going to bring up two workstations. There's two PCs. We call them prod PC 1 and 2, and you'll see that on Matt's screen in a minute. We're going to authenticate those users, and they're going to get a 10, 101, 255, either a 100 and 101 or 101, 102 address. And what we're going to do is just test some simple ping scenarios between devices within the same VRF and then across VRFs. And we're going to see in the same VRF, they're going to be able to ping. And we're going to allow that to go through, but then we're going to show you the power of SGTs, where we've integrated ICE and the CAT Center. And Catalyst Center, we're going to go in and enable a policy to say, stop the pings within the same network. So we're going to use an SGT to block ICMP between two users on the same network. And they're actually plugged into two different switches in the fabric. So the fabric's carrying the SGT for us inside of the EVPN fabric. So we're going to demo that right now. So I'm going to let Matt take over driving, and he will kind of navigate from here.
Thanks, Travis. So first, I think it's just a quick look at the policy set that we have in place where we're driving this segmentation from. And we're just going to show you briefly kind of what we have set here in our authorization policy. So you can see our three main different rules. They correspond to those three network segments that we talked about: the main network segment, the prod network segment, and the IoT network segment that we have stepped you through in previous sessions. When we built the fabric, we put that segmentation in. We also carried it across the SD-WAN. You can see we have just a very simple policy here that looks into AD for different users. And if they match like IoT, prod, or main user, they're assigned a profile to permit them into that network segment. And then we are assigning SGTs here, right? You can see we have our three different SGTs. We're going to be working with this main prod user here. So just to show you that this is kind of the base policy set that we have here set up. Travis, anything else to add there while you get the live logs up?
No, I would say, just based what you showed, the profile maps to the VRF or VN, what you had up, and then the result maps to the SGT. So right now, they're assigning SGTs, but we're not enforcing them. So keep on going, Matt.
Yep. So what I'm going to do, you can see I have prod PC1, prod PC2. These are actual PCs with physical NICs. We have these USB controllers here that we're going to be able to physically unplug and plug this NIC in. So we'll be able to show you kind of the full authentication process and everything cool like that. So I'm on prod PC1 here. What I'm going to do is bounce this NIC, right? So you can see the pings have stopped. The NIC is bounced. I'm going to reconnect it. I'm just going to go over here so you guys can see what IP it gets. So it hasn't got its IP yet. Once it gets its IP, I'll jump back over and you can see we got 10, 101, 255, 100 for PC1. We are responding. Basically, I'm pinging prod PC2. If we look at prod PC2, this PC has got IP 10, 101, 255, 101. So they're just basically pinging each other. That's what I'm showing there. If I jump back over into ICE, let's just take a look at this real quick. So you can see this is the NIC that I bounced. Let's just take a look at this authentication session right here. Let's check this guy out. So this is the detailed authentication report for host PC1 that I bounced the NIC on. You can see all the good stuff here where it authenticates. We're getting all the great ICE telemetry that we get, what type of workstation it is, what version. It's being profiled, basically. We're seeing the different authorization policies it hit. It got that security group tag prod user. I'm just going to scroll down here to the bottom, though, and this is sort of the results column here. So it got put into the prod network segment. We have that corresponding to all the networking that goes along with the prod VRF and that prod network segment, right? So that's our first level of segmentation. And you can see also that we got, this is in hex, but we got our security group tag assigned to the user as well. So Travis, anything else to add that I might have missed on this authentication?
No, is now a good time, you think, Matt, to go ahead and show this somewhat similar information that's in the switch?
Yeah, let's check
I
it out.
think you have an SSH session to one of the switches, so let's
Yeah.
look on one of those.
So yeah, we got two commands here. So the first one that we're going to show is show authenticated sessions for interface gigabit Ethernet 101 details. I'm going to hit this right here. So this is the port that PC is plugged into. So you could see it's very similar information that we looked in that authentication report. This is looking at it directly onto the switch. And you can see all the information we get. We get the port number, we get the user of the port, which is prod PC1. We see it's in VRF prod. You can see it's authorized. You see all that good stuff. And then you can see down here that it gets VLAN 101 and it gets SGT19, which is the value of that prod user, dcloud prod user SGT value.
Yeah.
So pretty neat detail there on the switch view as well.
Yeah. So I want to add a couple here. So when ICE authenticates, ICE sends down a change of authorization to the port for .1x. So it sends down the VLAN name to the switch. So our VLAN name was prod. So that's the value that gets sent to the switch. Prod is actually VLAN 101. Now the SVI for VLAN 101 is in a VRF for prod. So the VLAN 101 interface has an IP address and has a VRF forwarding command of prod. So that's how those things tie together. The VLAN maps to the VRF, which gives you the first level of segmentation. So, and then we can go ahead and look at our next command, Matt.
Yeah, so our next command was to, I did that a little quick, but show CTS role-based permissions. So right now we're not seeing much here because we basically have not put any policy in place. You can see it just says permit IP. So we haven't done any type of micro-segmentation or any policy at all, right? We haven't pushed anything. And Travis, I think basically that's what we're going to do next. And we'll jump back over here and kind of show you what is done after that. Sound good, Travis?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to go back over back to Catalyst Center. Let's bring it back up. We have ICE obviously going here. We have our live logs. We can jump back into if we need to. I'm going to go over into Catalyst Center and I'm going to go into our policy section here. And we're going to look at our group-based access control. Right away, one thing you'll notice in our environment, you can see right here where it says migration is complete and Catalyst Center will be the policy administration point going forward in ICE, right? So we did a tight integration between Catalyst Center and ICE. And right now, all policy has to be controlled from Catalyst Center. So it makes it really nice to be able to centralize and view your policies. And we're going to get into what the policy matrix looks like. But just know that this is done this way. We're not in SD access mode, right? We have an BGP EVPN based fabric that we built in those previous sessions, but we're still able to do all the great integrations with Catalyst Center here that you see to control policy. So it's pretty neat. Some people don't know that you can actually do that, and it's pretty slick. Travis, anything to add?
No, that's good. Let's look at our policy matrix, Matt, and then let's give a little explanation of the grid here as to what that is and what actually we're going to do here.
Yeah, so what you see here is this is our policy grid, right? So it's basically source destination. You can see we have our main dcloud SGT. Some of these are built in already, like contractors and guests and all that. But you could see our IoT. We have an IP phone here. We have a prod user. And the domain main user, right? Those are our main security groups that we have set up. And you can see here is our dcloud prod group. And if you scroll over the matrix, you can see this is the policy that we're going to work with. If we look back over here at the matrix, go back over here and check out kind of our use case. We have our two prod users. They're authenticated. They've been in that first level of segmentation, which is that prod VRF here, that macro level segmentation. Now we're talking about how do we control communication within a network segment. That's micro-segmentation. That's exactly what we're going to do. We want to deny ICMP, those pings that we have going between these two users, prod user 1 and prod user 2, right? So this is sort of what it looks like, but this is how we're going to implement it with this matrix right here. We have this actual policy, and you can see it says dcloud prod user, deny ICMP to prod, and we're doing it both ways, right, to deny that communication. Let's open up this custom policy here. So you can see this one's very, very simple, but the concept is the important part of how we're able to very easily insert policy and how scalable it is, right? And you'll see how quick it is. So just think about what it would take if you weren't using something like TrustSec or SGTs to implement what we're going to do right now. So definitely TrustSec gives you some big advantages from doing things like this. Travis, anything to add on just the mechanics?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit. This one's very simple. Deny ICMP, right? We're just trying to give you a quick demo, but one of the things that many customers use this type of technology for is to block lateral communication, right, between devices on the same network. So that can help with proliferation of viruses, worms, outbreaks, where stuff tries to just start crawling laterally on the same subnet. We can use simple communication parameters in here to deny certain types of things from occurring, right? So we could have wrote a deny IP any, and these workstations would have never been able to communicate. But right now we're just blocking ICMP.
Yep. And I've had customers that literally just have one SGT for their workstation segment that denies lateral communication, and they've passed audits, right? Because they can easily show how they can control lateral movement, right, with a single policy and demonstrate it. So that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So just think how that might apply to your environment and different segmentation asks you've been asked to do, and how quickly we're able to demonstrate this. So we're going to enable this policy. So I'm going to save this policy. So it's going to be saved. It's not deployed yet. So Catalyst Center has just sort of teed up the policy. You can see that it's ready to go. And you just come over here to deploy and just hit deploy now. You'll see it's deployed. So I'm going to jump back over here to the switches themselves. I'm sorry, to the Prod PC 1. And what you see, just that quick, just from the time it took me to switch over to the screen, you can see it's timing out. It can't reach Prod PC 2. If I look at Prod PC 2, same thing, timing out, can't reach it, right? Pretty powerful, pretty easily to do. So just think how that might apply to your environment for any segmentation asks you've been asking, and just how easily we're controlling policy, right? We have 2 switches in our environment. If we had 100 switches, the same concepts would all apply, right? So just think how neat that is to deal with some of those business challenges of ask you're being asked to do for your businesses. Travis, one thing I was going to show next, we're going to jump back over to the switch here, and let's see how it looks differently. Obviously, our authentication session is still there. Nothing has changed. But if we take a look at our role-based permissions now, check this out. We have this new role that was dynamically pushed down to here, right? You can look right here. It says role-based permissions from group 19 dcloud prod user. That's our security group, to group 19 deny ICMP. So it dynamically pushed that rule that wasn't there last time we showed the command. If you look up top here, so that's how quickly it's done. Travis, was there some other things we wanted to show? We want to show some.
No, I just added a little bit on the rules. 2 things. If you bring that rule back up on the screen, is 2 things. Those rules are only pushed down to the switch if there is a device on the switch as a member of that group, right? So they're not pushed down to every switch in the fabric. If there was another switch where there was no user that was part of the prod user group, then this would not be pushed down. The other thing that's powerful about SGTs is notice they're IP address agnostic, right? So this is very easy to read. I don't have to go figure out what subnet's talking to what subnet. So the identity of the user or the device type of the user dictates what group they belong in. So we don't care about IP address anymore. So this is very easy to read. It says I'm denying ICMP from source dcloud prod user to destination dcloud prod user. So you saw that with the pings that Matt was doing laterally across the fabric. So very powerful concept to use SGTs. Yeah,
one thing, Travis, let's just show, we're still timing out, right? Pinging to each other. why don't we
Yeah,
just
so what are you pinging up there? 10.101, 255,
yeah,
101.
let's open another command prompt here and let's ping
Yeah.
around, right? Let's bring up this topology real quick, and then Travis will guide me on the pings. So we'll look at the topology here. We have these loopback testing interfaces that we have. We mentioned these in some of the earlier sessions, but now we're actually going to show you guys how they come to life. So the blue, red, and green, yellow, they correspond to these network segments, IoT, prod, and main, and we have these different IPs that we can ping, and we're gonna just ping here over to focus on these three here, just to show how we have that macro segmentation across the fabric and SD-WAN. So Travis, I'm going to go back to that prod PC1 and let's guide me through some pings to try out here.
So ping 100.110.105, and that is a device in the main network segment, and this should fail.
Yep.
And this fails because they're in two different VRFs. Is that correct, Matt?
That is correct. We are in the prod network segment. So let's ping that prod network segment. If I'm right, that's 101, correct? 105?
That is 101, 105, yes.
So you can see we're able to reach that. We're not able to, and then might as well just finish it off here. We'll do that IoT network segment, and we have no reachability there as well. And then if I just go back to the 101, we do, right? So that's just showing you how we controlled and maintained that segmentation all the way from the campus through the SD-WAN, right? All the way across that first level segmentation. Then of course, let's go back now. Let's remove that policy and just show an example how easily we can control policy, right? So we have that policy in, the pings are failing. Let's go ahead and disable this policy. Maybe a thread is no longer existent and we don't need a specific rule there anymore. We can just disable it, right? So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to push it again to the fabric switches, and let's see those pings start again. So I'm going to hit deploy now, and just as quickly as I can come over here, we're replying, right? So that's pretty impressive to be able to invoke policy like that. That's the power of TrustSec and SGTs, right? That we wanted to make sure you all saw, and I think this demonstrates it well.
I think that's probably the end of the demo.
Travis, let's
quick, one more.
Yeah, let's click back over to the Leaf one here, and let's do that same command. And now we see, right, here's where we ran it before. We had that deny, and just like that, it's all permit again. So just showing you how quickly we're doing that policy and how dynamic it is, right? So yeah, I think at that point, Travis, let's just do a quick summarization here on what we saw and what we were able to do.
Yeah, so what all did we do today? Let's kind of do a recap. So up until now we had the fabric configured and integrated, but today what we did was we discovered the devices in Cat Center that in addition, during the discovery, it added the devices to ICE as a network access device, so we can start using the devices for 802.1x, right? So they can communicate via radius over to the ICE server. And then we did a quick provision, and provision pushed down some additional values for integration with ICE and other services. And once that was done, we got to test the secure networking component, right? So we had a couple of workstations that we authenticated via .1x, and they got SGTs. And we showed you how we could prevent lateral communication within the same network via SGTs. And then we also showed you how communication across networks via the macro segmentation or VRF-based segmentation was denied as well. And that's just naturally, VRFs are going to deny the traffic. Anything else you need to close up with, Matt?
No, maybe we just talk about real quick, like upcoming sessions that we'll be showing you guys. So as we progress more into topology, we have this FTD and FMC here. So we said that we do have this SGT tag here on the firewall. So in upcoming sessions, we'll extend the policy even further into network and actually use the same SGT structure to control policy on a secure network segment. So that session, don't miss it. That one will be pretty cool. Additionally, we do have ThousandEyes and WebEx and some good use cases around integrating those. But The next one will really focus on how do we even get the policy further into different networks and those integrations, right? It's cross-architecture experience lab. So really experiencing that common policy across multiple different parts in the network. So we'll do a PX grid integration with our FMC and FTD infrastructure here and extend that same policy and demonstrate it again all the way through. Yeah, with that, Travis, I think today, I think we did a really good job showing, just TrustSec and segmentation and how we have it set up for macro and micro segmentation. And again, we look forward to some upcoming sessions to go a little bit further into the network here. So Carla, I'll back over to you.
All right, great overview. At this time, we'll go ahead and take some questions live. So if you haven't done so already, you can log into Slido by scanning the QR code on the screen with your mobile device or by logging in directly through our live stream page. And let's see, as well, you wait for questions to come in. Double check. One question did come in, and I can answer that one. They ask, will this session be recorded and be made available afterwards? Yes, it actually is being recorded. We'll have an edited version over on the Cisco Learning Network, where you can also find the post-event discussion thread. If you need immediate playback, it can actually be viewed via YouTube. So right after the session ends, you can just go back and play it, replay the actual video. Okay, question came in from Suraj Kumar asking how does one get a job in this sector? Would you guys be able to talk about that?
How to get a job in this sector. So I think, yeah, definitely Cisco Learning, right? Like certifications is a great place. Both near and dear to Travis and I's heart for sure. You can see we both, are definitely Cisco certified. And I don't know, Travis, if you have an opinion, but I think that's a great place to start, right?
Well, I mean, I always say start small and work your way up. Good on-site customer is there, learning from your customer experience. I mean, to get into these roles, obviously having some experience under your belt is a good thing. So that can be post-sales or pre-sales. So I started in post-sales and worked my way into pre-sales.
Yeah, I started at a customer as well. I was a hands-on engineer, a consultant, enterprise architect as well before I came to Cisco. But hands-on experience, there's no substitute. Utilize our dCloud platform, get hands-on with some of this stuff. Definitely review our knowledge articles we've posted on segmentation and building fabrics. All that stuff is good material. We have a lot of stuff on Cisco Learning that you can just poke around on in validated communities as well.
Thank you. Yes, ditto. Definitely check out the Cisco Validated community over on the Cisco Learning Network. You should receive an email afterwards, after attending today's session, where you can actually be directed over to the Cisco Learning Network. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Before we wrap up, Matt, Travis, do you have any closing thoughts for our audience?
I'll just say thanks everyone for joining. Definitely be on the lookout for future sessions as we continue to build out and show different use cases on this lab topology. And again, we look forward to seeing you on another session. And Travis?
No, I said same thing. I echo your sentiments, Matt. Thank you all for joining. Looking forward to the next one.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Travis, for this great session and sharing your knowledge and expertise with our audience. I hope that everyone found great value in today's presentation. Now, I wanted to take a moment to cover some quick items. Join us next, or actually, I think this Thursday, we have another session, and this one's actually covering Cisco's Secure Firewall SD-WAN solution, an overview and device onboarding. So check that out. I believe the presenter is Young Lee. And again, it's this coming Thursday. And then if you haven't already, please register to receive email reminders and easily add this session along with others to your calendar and be notified of the recordings on demand. You can, again, scan that QR code that was on the screen or should still be on the screen to register for other Cisco validated virtual events. Lastly, let me go ahead and launch the survey. We encourage you to take the time to participate so we can get your feedback on how we did and of other sessions you'd like for us to host. So let me get that posted now. Again, we're utilizing Slido for that. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and scan that QR code and you'll be directed to the page to participate. All right. Well, thanks again to our presenters and to all of our attendees for joining us live today. I hope that you all have a great day, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.